I'd like to call a meeting to order at 7:30 with the roll call, please.
Mr. Simons?
Here.
Freehand is here. Mr. Boda?
Here.
Mr. Blackstock? Here. Ms. Blair is not here, excused.
Mr. Pasalis is excused.
Mr. Pasalis is excused. Mr. Horn?
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Herb, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving on to the approval of the agenda. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda as presented? Hearing none, I have one I'd like to add under new business, Kathy Blair's letter. Put that under new business 1. Is there any other deletions from the agenda? If not, a motion would be in order to approve the agenda with the addition of the Kathy Blair letter.
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda with the addition of NB1, Kathy Blair.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported that we approve the agenda with the additions. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Next, we have the public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to talk about anything that's not?
Skip
Oh,
minutes.
excuse me, I jumped up one. Approve the minutes of November 19, 2018. They're in your packet. If anybody has any corrections or,
If there are no changes or deletions, I make a motion that we approve the minutes of November 19th, 2018.
all right, it's been moved and supported that we approve the minutes of November 19, 2018. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have public comment. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak about anything that's not on the agenda? Please proceed to the podium. Did you have anything you wanted to talk about?
We have two Boy Scouts here that are working on the community and the,
Well, why don't you go to the podium? It'd be a good time to. We're right at that juncture of the,
we have two Boy Scouts, they'll introduce themselves.
Okay.
They're working on their citizenship in the community merit badge, and they have to come to a board meeting such as this to learn how a meeting is run. Want to introduce yourself?
good.
My name is Andrew Radowski, and I am working with my merit badge here, and I'm ranked life and in Boy Scouts, which means that one more rank and I will be ranked Eagle.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Daniel Radowski, and I'm ranked Star, so I have 2 more ranks to Eagle, and I'm just here to work on my badge.
Okay. Is there anything that any questions you have for us that you want to ask, or you just got to observe what's going on here?
Yeah, I just kind of.
Okay. Well, we started the meeting, if you see the agendas there, we're down to the public comment portion of it. We've had the roll call and the Pledge of Allegiance and the approve the agenda and approve the minutes. If there's no other public comment, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have the C1, October 2018 St. Clair Area Fire Authority. We have the C2, St. Clair County, C2 is a November 2018 Historical Commission minutes. And C3 is a November 2018 Park Commission minutes.
I do have one question.
Okay,
C1, the fire calls for St. Clair. There's 2 calls here. I'm not sure where they live. I've only lived out in that township since '66, so I wouldn't know. St. Clair had 1 fire call at One fire call out on Harbor Lane. Where is Harbor Lane?
I seen that down there too, Don, and that might be one of them new roads in the subdivision up on the north, I don't know.
I don't know either.
I was gonna question it. I seen the same thing.
Well, we can find out what it is, Tom. Which one was that? Which?
Incident date was 10/1, excuse me, 2018. The address was 3705 North Harbor Lane. Cross Street was South River Road.
I'm wondering if that's that road that goes in there at Diamond Cove North. Because they got a harbor there. I wonder if that road goes in front of that harbor.
It's just all called,
I'll find out. I can find out.
the person's name when they went there was Michaela Miner, M-I-N-E-R.
I don't know that name.
And there was a second one. I think, no, there isn't. I mistaken my word.
Okay.
But the one that just kind of threw me were,
Harbor Lane is showing up at the, what is the subdivision up on the river, just north of
Hawks Nest.
Hawks Nest.
That was my other choice.
North Harbor Lane.
They just put a couple new roads in there.
okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. So I don't have to check that out, now we know where it is. So there's any other additions or deletions to the consent agenda? If not,
That's all I have.
a motion to accept the consent agenda would be in order.
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported that we accept the consent agenda as presented. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to disbursements, we have invoices of $89,245.03. We have accounts payable of $109,480.58. We have payroll direct deposit of $31,247.89. We have a total of a void of $171.69. We have an EFT payment of $10,461.57 for a total disbursement of $240,263.38.
I'll make a motion that we pay the disbursements in the amount of $240,263.38.
I'll support.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a support to pay the bills in the sum of $240,263.38. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Simons?
Yes.
Freehan votes yes. Mr. Boda?
Yes,
Mr. Blackstock?
Yes.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
All.
Motion carries, we pay the bills. Moving on to new business, one, Kathy Blair's letter. I'm going to read this letter aloud with regrets. Here it goes. This is November 28th, 2018. Dear members of the East China Township Board, it is with a sad heart that I resign my elected position as a trustee on the East China Township Board. Before deciding to run in the 2016 election, I was told by 3 of my postal supervisors that I could run as an independent regarding the Hatch Act. Today, I find the advice was incorrect. This resignation corrects this. Thank you to all board members for sharing your knowledge and how a successful township operates. I can only hope that I contributed to this group as much as I have learned. Though I resign, the residents of East China are left in the hands of a board who works very hard for its residents. I truly believe that each one of you sincerely cares about the lasting impact you have on the township. You have all made me feel very welcome. For this and your friendship, I am grateful. Sincerely, Kathy Blair. So she has resigned from the board.
It's too bad.
Yeah, with regrets. Kathy was a real good addition. She really wanted to learn this. She took it to heart. She was on many, many committees. She did a lot of volunteer work. She had the best interests of the township at heart, as I think the rest of the board does.
Yeah, I spoke with her, my wife and I spoke with her today, this morning, and she was a little down and out, but I told her to make sure she runs again, because she does, I'll vote for her. So she said maybe she's gonna retire in less than 2 years, so that put it up for the next election.
Good.
So I told her, go for it.
So I guess we need a motion to accept this resignation.
I accept the we accept the resignation of Kathy Blair with regret. Hopefully the township will write a letter thanking her for her time and service and what she was involved in. She was one of the people involved in the search for a township manager. She did a good job, and she pushed real hard for what we have. And the rest of us agreed with it. So she's going to be missed.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll support that motion.
Okay. We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any further discussion? Anybody else have anything to say? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And aye with regrets.
Aye with regret, yes. She'll be missed. And that brings up the other thing is we have so many days to replace this position on the board. We believe it's 45 days. So it's my suggestion that we either ask for letters of people interested in doing this, or the board picks somebody to do this.
We've normally, the last 2 or 3 appointments that we made, we've gone through the planning commission.
If
Pick
that's-
somebody from planning, normally the chair or something like that, ask if they're interested.
We can do that if that's what the board
That's what they usually do.
chooses.
That's been the protocol.
What's that?
If that's been the protocol in the past.
That's how I got on the board.
They've done that in the past for quite a few years.
You know,
That's been the,
going to the planning commission, look for a replacement.
all right, well, we can look into that then. But we have 45 days, so it doesn't have to be done today. I mean,
Day after tomorrow.
day after tomorrow, okay. All right, moving on to announcements. I really don't have any announcements at this time, so we'll move on to member comments. Mr. Horn.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about Kathy. Hope her all the best. And I was down Bryson Lane. It's better than it was.
Is it?
But it's still got water laying on the edges. And I think the county road commission is probably done for this year on it. I don't know. But if they aren't, we're gonna have.
We can probably get them to grade it again, as long as they don't freeze.
And if they do, if you can get them to grade that, have them grade, Reclaw Road. It's getting bad out on.
Oh, out on the end out there? Okay,
That's all I have.
thank you. Mr. Boda.
I really have none except for, give the best wishes for Kathy Blair, and if she's listening to this meeting, I want you to run next time, so, when you're able to. That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Freehan?
Just for the benefit of the scouts who are here, we went through a number of things. We spent a lot of money rather quickly, and you may think we don't take a look at those kinds of things. We actually do. We get a packet of material ahead of time. So all the board members have an opportunity to look at things. It's not that we just come in and somebody says, okay, we're going to spend $250,000. We look at that kind of material ahead of time. Yes. That's all.
Okay.
I have nothing, thank you.
And I'll also throw, do we have any more questions about how we operate here? I mean, this is a 7-person board. We've had, you probably don't understand, we've had one resign on the end, we have one absent. We have to have 4 of us here to have a quorum, or we can't conduct any business. We have to have a majority to conduct business. This is a partisan board. I don't know, what else can I tell you about it?
Kathy's position, or what did she do for the, for St. Clair, or what position did she hold?
Who was that?
Kathy?
She was one of our trustees. We have, I'm the supervisor, the clerk, the treasurer, and Mr. Horn is a trustee, Mr. Blackstock is a trustee, and Ms. Blair was a trustee, as was Mr. Pasalis. We have 4 trustees and then the 3 officers.
And then
And then
At
we
the
have
time.
our township manager over here.
that's an appointed position. These positions are all elected. However, I was just appointed a few months ago to replace somebody who resigned.
So kind of like the same situation with Kathy?
Yes.
Well, we have 45 days to fill that vacancy down there. And one other thing is I'd like to give Cindy Paparelli time to, do you want to report, or do you just want us to read your report, or?
I'm thinking I'm going to continue to just kind of hand it out. It's just a bullet point of the goings-on, and if there's any questions you have for me based on that, we could do it that way.
I guess I have one, and I didn't talk to you about it, but how did you make out on that St. Clair County Trail Strategy you went to?
So the meeting was a community overview. They're perched right now to have an opportunity to participate in a large, very large grant opportunity. I can't recall the name of the grant, but what they're doing is they were advising all of the communities that the chamber has, or not the chamber, but the, what is the organization that, the foundation, the community foundation has invested a lot of resources into doing a study to prepare themselves to apply for this grant. They're not asking the communities for any money, they're just asking them to participate in the information gathering at this point. So it's potentially going to allow the entire trail system to be connected through St. Clair and to the Orchard Trail as well.
Was there anything in there talked about maintenance and maintaining what the existing trail we have, or was this just to complete the links in between?
Right, this is more the gap
The gaps? yeah.
filling, correct. Mm-hmm.
So in our township, we're pretty much gap-free,
Right,
you know? And we're talking about the bike trail that we have in the township. We were one of the first municipalities to have it done all the way through our township, which these guys 20 years ago did that, didn't you?
Yep. Long time.
Yeah, it was a long time ago that we put that bike trail in that you see we have out here. Now, where do you guys live?
In actually East China.
East China?
No, that is China. Well, no,
China?
I'm sorry,
Okay, good. But you have the bike trail in China too, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
We're connected to that.
My son was asking, what exactly does a trustee do?
Well, they vote, we all have one vote. We handle the day-to-day operations, the supervisor, the clerk, and the treasurer handles the money. The trustees pretty much are here, they're one vote, just like the rest of us, to run the township. I guess, is that a clear understanding
It's a good
of?
description.
I mean, they have duties, they sit on different boards, as all of us sit on different boards within the township, you know, like the planning commission, the ZBA, board of review. We have
Park.
part of these board people. The sewer and water authority is another one that we have that people sit on. Mr. Boda sits on that. I sit on 2 fire authorities with Mr. Boda. And we all have other duties besides just this board, you know, to keep the township running.
You're living in China Township when you mentioned the Sewer and Water Authority. East China actually provides sewer and water service to parts of China Township. And as a result, there are people from China Township that sit on the Sewer and Water Authority board.
Well, they actually are partial owners
Yeah.
of the sewer and water plant. China is.
This plant right over there.
This plant on the river and the sewer plant here on Rico Road, I think it's 11 and 19%, something like that.
Yeah.
So they're partial owners in the plant, in the two plants. And like Mr. Freehan said, they have a sewer and water authority board, and then it's occupied by somebody from China Township and somebody from our township.
And the same way with fire, there is a fire authority. So actually, St. Clair Fire Department and the Marine City Fire Department actually provide fire services to East China Township. And there is an authority that manages that whole process also.
We actually own the parts of the fire department in St. Clair and Marine City. It's no longer the St. Clair Fire Department or the Marine City Fire Department. It's called the Marine City Fire Authority and the St. Clair Fire Authority. Some of the trucks are still lettered as the St. Clair Fire Department, but as we buy new trucks, we're changing the lettering to the authority. But it saves us a lot of money in the township because we have a voice now. Before, we were just contract people, and we contracted with the fire departments, and we were kind of, had to go along with what prices they put out there. Well, now we're active in it, and we make decisions on buying fire trucks and paying people and running the fire departments.
And one of the things that came up at the meeting tonight, one of the items on the agenda was the St. Clair Area Fire Authority report. We get a monthly report. This is for the month of October, and it shows all the runs. That's why they were questioning, where's Harbor? Because there's a run, there were 2 runs to Harbor Lane, and it wasn't a familiar street, so we were wondering where that actually was. So we take a look at those kinds of things as the,
Is that inclusive of EMS services as well?
No, that's a separate entity. That's a private company. The EMS service is run by Tri-Hospital up in Port Huron, and they're not connected with the fire departments or the townships in any way. If you call them to your house, you pay the bill. But our fire department are first responders. So if you call 911 and you want EMS, chances are the fire department's going to be there before EMS. So they will be first responders. But when the fire department comes to your house, in China, in East China, you get 2 free runs a year. And then after that, we bill you for $250 to have the firemen come out. So,
the police department for East China and for China is actually the sheriff's department. And we share with China a deputy sheriff, or
a car. We have a car that we own between the 2 of us.
so all of these things are negotiated between townships, but that's for efficiency. So it becomes very expensive to provide on your own. If you're a relatively small township, it becomes a challenge essentially. So for matters of efficiency and that sort of thing, we look at opportunities to share with the neighboring municipalities or with townships. We can provide a service, and then often you create an authority or a contract arrangement with a service, and that's beneficial to the people that live here because you're able to provide a service at a reasonable cost based on what your needs are. Because to have our own police department would be an expensive proposition.
Maybe for bigger cities, right?
Okay? Cindy, do you have any more? I didn't mean to cut you off and
No.
get off on track here, but we're all set? If you have any more questions, we'd be willing to answer them, or you're willing to visit us anytime during the day if you want to know more about the operation of the township.
How do you spell your last name?
She told them what the requirement was for conflict, cover this all conflicts.
Oh, well,
Just seemed that-
Why don't you-
Yeah, go up to the microphone. It's better if you go up there than the people out in the,
for our merit badge, what the requirement was that we need to jot down, the opposing and like the for, if you will, kind of like the argument, but as what I've noticed, is the more people that you have at a meeting, correct me if I'm wrong, then the more like, maybe conflicts you will have.
Well, yeah, it could be. When we have the public comment, you can comment, but this board does all the action. We're elected by the people to run the township. So we will listen to all the people in the audience. I mean, we'll take what they have to say, but ultimately, the vote is on this board to do whatever. And as you see, the votes we had tonight were pretty much unanimous. But there's times that we don't have a unanimous vote, we all have our own opinion on the subject, and we don't always vote unanimous. It just happens what we voted on tonight to pay the bills is what we want to pay the bills. Mr. Boda questioned the fire authority run. That was questioning, the report we got. Was that correct? Is that what you're looking for?
Yes,
So, we don't always vote, we don't always agree on everything.
There's, not only do we have, at every meeting, you have an opportunity for public comment, but last week, we actually had a public hearing, and that's a formal process where you invite public comment on a proposal, and last week's public hearing was on a budget. And that was a multi-million-dollar budget, and that's the 2019 budget. We didn't have anybody here to comment on it, and that's unfortunate because, and this is, I'll get on my soapbox, people can have more influence on how things go and what affects their life if they get involved in the local community activities, board meetings, that sort of thing, compared to what impact can you have on the county level, what impact can you have as an individual on the state level or on the federal level. Yet you as an individual, if you get involved, if you're a homeowner and you come to a public hearing about a rezoning, and that's often where there potentially gets into some discussion. Somebody wants to wants to change the zoning of a particular area from residential to commercial, and you happen to live right next to that property. And so, and the planning commission might hold a public hearing on that. So the local residents, they have an opportunity to come in and say, okay, yea or nay, I'm in favor of that, or I'm against it. And that's often where there will be differences of opinion. So I do encourage you to, and citizenship in the community is one of the, I think, the least popular merit badges that kids earn. But it's an area where you can actually have more impact on what happens to your neighborhood in comparison to, as I said, anything on the county or the state or the federal level.
Another thing, when we vote, you'll see that I call for a roll call vote. Excuse me, anytime we spend money, we call for a roll call so we know what everybody's opinion is. It's not just all in favor signify by saying aye, because there could be somebody, but that way we record, who's voted yes and who's voted no. So, any further?
Was the budgetary comment here just on the month? Or this past the $250,000, is that just for the month expenses?
That's just for 2 weeks.
It's just for 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
when you called the meeting of citizens last week, or was it 2 weeks ago, that was discussed the 2019 budget, annual budget, right?
We discussed the 2019 budget, yeah.
All of these disbursements that we've approved tonight would have been most likely in a budget or in a budget amendment that has to be approved. So, when we spend money, when we approve these disbursements, they have to fall into a particular account that's been funded. In general, we start at the beginning of the year with a budget, and then if necessary, you amend the budget. But budget is a guideline. And so before a disbursement can be approved, it really needs to fall into a certain category.
sometimes our bills are 6-7 million. Because we collect all the taxes for the township, and then we have to distribute them up to the county. And that, we collect the money and then we divvy it out. So sometimes our bills are pretty high, but there's no tax in this one.
Do the citizens have an opportunity to look at the budget before the budget meeting is held?
Yes.
Yeah, we have it posted out there, you can pick it up. And we had it posted
If you would
like,
like a copy, there's one
yeah,
sitting
there's
on
one
it.
laying on the counter out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a line item. It shows everything for the parks and all the various categories of operations.
Okay. I'll finish my comments. I'd like to thank Cindy, too, of all the hard work she's done. She's taken on so much in the short time she's been here, and I think you're doing a great job on looking into all this stuff. I didn't realize how, we're in good shape, but there's things that need tweaking, and I think that's where she's really gonna be good at tweaking these things. A lot of it is just because we haven't done it, and the other part is we've lost a lot of people in retirement in the last 6 months. No, in the offices. We've lost a lot of veteran people that have been here for a lot of years, so we're trying to pick up some of the pieces, and that's where I think we've lost. When people retire, they take the knowledge with them that you don't use every day. So, but we're getting through it. I think it's all good to review it and have more people do those jobs. So if there's no other comments from the members, I think a motion to adjourn would be in order.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn at 8 PM.
Okay,
Support.
it's been moved and supported that we adjourn at 8 PM. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is adjourned. Thank you.
How do you spell your last name?